Four. Well, on this week's Scottless episode of The Grid, we're going to be talking to three in-studio guests, all separate in-studio guests. We're going to be talking about the three pieces of photography gear they cannot live without. And we want to hear your gear that you can't live without, and it all starts in about 30 seconds.
The Grid is brought to you by Platypod, the tripod alternative that is changing the world. Everybody has a Platypod. You should too. Go to platypod.com.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Scottless episode of The Grid. Scott is not in the studio. He's over in Prague at his workshop, and they're having a blast talking to him last night. Actually, I was the technical support last night. I got the calls with questions for that. But joining me in the studio, we have Mary Bell, who's been on the show before. You
Hi,
guys
everyone.
know about her, but if you don't know about Mary Bell, tell us a little bit about like what you do and what you shoot, that kind of stuff.
First of all, I just want to say that I am very disappointed that you did not introduce me as Scott Kelby.
That's true.
No?
Yeah.
No? Hi, everyone. I'm Mary Bell. I am a fine art portrait photographer from Orlando, Florida. I am also a Kelby 1 instructor, a self-portrait photographer, lover of photography and light, and I am excited to be here today to hang out with my friends at The Grid.
Well, we're excited that you're here, and we're really excited because we were talking about we're working on some of your classes for the Photo Gear Conference, which we have coming up, right? You're
That's
teaching
right.
a class there, right, as well?
I am. I'm teaching a class. I don't know if I can.
Yeah.
Spill
Go
the
into spill the beans. It's all online, so you can go spill the beans.
So I'm teaching a class on constant light. What you see is what you get. And I've got some cool new gear to show you guys and some cool demonstrations on how to use those gears in a very kind of artistic and creative way. And yeah, you guys, I would love for you guys to tune in and share with me as well what kind of images you create using constant light. So.
Yeah, and I think that's so cool for people, is like, because I think that's where obviously you're a strobe and flash master looking at your work, but there's times when going to that level is kind of like a big step, right? So having that ability to kind of like have continuous light where you can see what you see, like you said, what you see is what you get. I think that's a good way into it, to understand the principles of light, so that way when you need to punch it up with strobes, you have that ability.
Absolutely agree. And I also think it's a really nice transition for natural light photographers to come indoors, shoot indoors, whether you're shooting in a studio or in a home studio, in your living room, your bedroom, whatever, to be able to use and learn about those fundamentals of light and apply them in a very non-threatening way. And I think that it's a very, very nice, easy transition because you see it. You see the light, you see how it interacts with your subjects, instead of spending so much time like I did pressing the flash, pressing the shutter, playing with strobes, moving the light. That's not right. Moving it again. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
Like, and nowadays with the mirrorless cameras, because you're using Sony mirrorless, right?
Yep, Sony A7 III.
So yeah, you're able to see with the mirrorless cameras that exposure simulation right there in the viewfinder, so you know what your shot's going to look like.
Yes.
Right away.
Yes, it's fantastic. Even shooting down low or shooting at really weird angles, even shooting video. When I shoot video and I have to show the video to whoever is with me, whether it be the producer or, if I'm shooting for a brand, whether it's the person in marketing representing the brand, I can show them the video without having to hook up extra monitors.
Yes.
Which is nice as well.
Cool. Well, if you want to join us for that gear conference, you can go over to kelby1live.com, and over there you can sign up. Right now you can save $150 off if you sign up right now. So definitely get your early bird discount and your early bird tickets. Tons of classes from everything from different camera models, stuff for if you're a landscape photographer, travel photographer, portraits, weddings, workstations. We're going to go over backup solutions. Basically, everything you need to know that what gear you're using or the gear you're having is the right gear, and you might not even need to spend any money. You just might need reassurance on, okay, that's what gear I should be using. That's the gear I'm using. Let's move on. Because a lot of times that is the thing with gear, is it can become paralyzing, if you will. Because you're like, oh, if I only had, like, did you ever have that where you're like, you're starting out and you're thinking, if I only had that lens, then my photography would be, you know what I mean?
And as a matter of fact, I think, looking at how other people use gear, it gives me some inspiration and I'm like, I would think to myself, wow, I would have never thought of using that gear in this way. Or, seeing someone else play with the gear kind of inspires you to channel and try different things as well.
Definitely. So join us over there. And actually, speaking of gear as well, Platypod came on the show a couple weeks ago and had their new Platypod Extreme, which is a awesome new Platypod device. What I love about it is it has these flip out legs that flip out. Yeah. And that's always been kind of my thing that I wished was in my other Platypods. So now having this one, I've been using it. Oh my gosh, incredible. But if you want to jump over to their Kickstarter, you can find it over at their website or on Kickstarter. It ends in like 5 days. So it's like the last push here if you want to get in on it. And you can see there's already, we got 1,590 backers. So definitely a lot of people jumping on board to get the Platypod Extreme. Excited about that, because what's great about that is it just helps them come up with their next thing that they're going to be looking at. So I really love everything that's coming from Platypod, especially this. And what's cool about it too is it has all those other attachments that we had with the Ultra that weren't in the Max. So you had a lot of straps and attachments.
And it's still very compact.
Yeah, very compact and actually very light because of the cutouts and how it is. Yeah. But yet can support anything. I've thrown everything and anything at it, like long lenses, everything.
Yeah,
and
they're so strong.
Yeah, no problem. So, but speaking of that, doing some other business stuff, we have some prizes we're going to be giving away today. So we have a bunch of prizes. First, we're going to be giving away, speaking of Platypod, we're giving away the Platypod disc. So this is an attachment for your Platypod, really cool. So we can give away that. Then we're going to be giving away Scott's Lightroom Classic book. So we've got that one as well. So we're giving that away to somebody. And then Scott's travel photography book. Scott's out traveling. You might want to be traveling too. So pick up Scott's travel photography book, and you can win that today. We're also giving away Boris FX Optics 2022. I don't know if you've used this at all, but I'm telling you, this thing, the backgrounds and the particle generators and all this, like, I've been getting pretty deep into it, and it's amazing. Like, I could see where somebody could, especially as a portrait or like anything to do with portraits, where you're like, I need different backgrounds. And I want to generate them uniquely to me. Like, it has this generator, again, this particle illusion generator that allows you to, it's coming from video and it's absolutely bizarre, but it allows you to customize your backgrounds and particles. And then there's infinite amount of solutions because it's rendering it on the fly.
Yeah, it's so cool. I used it on, so every year, my family and I have 2 teenagers. We do a family portrait for Christmas, and it's usually themed. It's always themed. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's goofy. So this year, Christmas 2021, we shot our family portrait, and it was 80s inspired.
Oh, cool.
So it was super throwback 80s. And so what I was able to do was use the effects of Boris software to kind of produce those 80s
the
lens
lasers.
flare, the lasers.
The lasers? Yes. I actually did that same thing with the picture too. It looks so cool.
Yeah, so I tried doing it in camera, and it just took way too much time. And literally, Boris FX just has a whole template of different types of lens flare. So I used it for that. And then I also used it, there was a stylized birthday shoot that I do stylized birthday portraits for clients. And so I added like a haze to the portrait to make it kind of look a little painterly, all from Boris. It was awesome.
Yeah, well, then that's what's so cool about it. And I not to go like really deep into it, but these are the kind of things, pieces of gear that really get me excited because we're able to really quickly throw these effects on our photos and take them to that next level.
Absolutely.
Right. And what's cool about Boris, what I've noticed in there, the render quality of whatever effect, like that haze that you're talking about, or if you're doing things like a lens flare,
Right.
it is ridiculously accurate to what it would be if I think you did it in real life. Like you actually did it in real life. Yeah, exactly.
Super customizable.
Yeah. Because then you can go to those parameters and forget it. I mean, you can almost get lost. That's the other side of Boris, though, that you can definitely get lost. All right, so and then we're giving away a copy of On One Effects 2022. Another great plugin for doing effects, and this is one where it's more of that one click, like, hey, I'm getting this one effect, or I'm getting this one look, but great because we have those quick access to all different kind of LUTs and different presets, and you can really apply a lot of cool effects.
No, so I haven't played with that.
You definitely want to play. I mean, these things are really, and we use those because they get us to the results quickly. And time is money, right? So, you gotta do stuff quicker. So if you want to win any of those prizes, just in the comments, wherever you're watching us, leave us a comment, tell us what you'd like to win. And then from there, also, if you have any questions for us, and then also because we're doing this show, I want to ask every one of our panelists, there are 3 pieces of gear they cannot live without. I'd like to hear your pieces of gear that you can't live without. What are those things that, we just can't live without? So speaking of that, Maribel, what is that one piece of gear out of, if we're going to have 3 pieces of gear, what's the first piece of gear? Let's just say that. What's the first piece of gear? And I know at first, people go with camera, lens. I get that.
Right.
But I'm talking about that piece of gear in your photography that you're like, oh man, I can't live without this.
Oh, easy. Let's see. My V-flats.
Yep.
I love them. I love my V-flats. I adore them. I love that, I have a V-flat from V-Flat World. One side is black, one side is white. Bounces the light, absorbs the light. You can use them as a backdrop. You can flag the light. There's so many uses for them. I absolutely love them. Not only V-flats from V-Flat Worlds, but just a white board, like a white foam board or a black one. There's so many. You can cut them. You can make shapes. You can make cookies out of them. Yep. So many uses. I love those.
Cookies being like not we're going to eat, but putting something in between you and the light to cast a pattern, right?
It might not taste very good.
So, well, that's cool. Yeah. So like anything that your first thing is basically, like adding or subtracting light through big boards. Yeah. And that's because that's a great one, because if you look at your work, your work is a lot about the light and about the shaping and the sculpting of light. And that's at least my perspective on it. And, when you look at it, that's where those things are integral to that. You have to be able to subtract and add light by just bouncing it sometimes.
Right. And also molding the lights. Sometimes the light is too harsh. You can bounce it off of a white surface and have it hit your subject. Or, you have too much light and you want to subtract some light from it. And those are great. And also you can kind of make them as backdrops, put them behind someone, impromptu backdrop. If you're outside, I've gone on photo walks where I'm outside, I take them with me, and it instantly makes your subject pop out of the background. It's fantastic.
Awesome. So what is your second thing?
Oh, second.
If you go to a second thing.
I mean, I really love tethering.
Yeah, so tether tools, like tether equipment? Is there a piece of tethering gear?
I would say tether tools. I mean, tethering the tethering wire.
Yeah.
It's made my life so much easier. I can show clients the work. I can, especially when I take self-portraits, I can tether and see exactly what I'm doing in real time. I use Capture One, so I'm able to see in real time exactly what's happening in the camera without me having to get up and move to the camera and come sit back down and get up again. And showing the clients the work. And, immediately being able to change the settings and increase contrast, saturation, dial in all those settings and have it immediately so that people can see it, and also send it over, send it over to clients that are working remotely. It's wonderful.
Yeah, so it's able to like quickly, and then you can also see it at a bigger resolution than just
bigger resolution instead of showing someone the back of your camera, which can be kind of awkward, right?
Yeah,
sometimes
I mean, like that, where you're, like the back of the camera, but it being over on the computer screen,
right?
And then you being able to do adjustments on it and be able to see, like, are we going to get to the end result we want to get to? Because you don't want to get back to the computer and realize I should have increased my exposure. I should have done something differently or changed something that I could have done when I was shooting, but I didn't because I didn't have a good view of it.
Yeah, and with my work tends to look painterly, and so I don't shoot painterly. Like when I shoot it, yes, I have the light in a certain angle, and I position it very intently and purposefully, but having the tool at your hand to be able to make slight adjustments to take an image from looking like a normal portrait image to something that looks very much more refined in an instant makes a world of a difference to your clients, because now they can see the process of you getting to the end result.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, that's cool. Yeah. Do you have one more for us? The third piece of gear? So far it's been, you got the V flats where you're shaping, you're sculpting light, then getting it into your computer and showing clients quickly through tethering. Yes. What's something else that you just could not live without?
I would say my remote.
Remote trigger?
My remote trigger.
Yeah. So,
I can't live without it.
What kind of, are you using like a RF or like a?
So I work with Sony, and I have like one of those little radio remotes.
Yep, radio.
And they're so easy to use, and I can it has its separate trigger for video. So if I just press the video button, it starts immediately. My camera takes video immediately without me having to switch the gear on the camera, which is super helpful. Yeah. And if I'm working with a client and I'm doing like maybe light painting with the client, I don't need two people to assist me. I can just use the remote, hit the shutter with the remote, and just start light painting. It's so useful.
Well, there you go. Awesome. Well, we do have to take a break here shortly, because when we come back, we actually have another guest coming in. I know, Maribel, you're going to stick around, but we have another guest coming in via Skype into the studio.
And I want to learn your favorite tools.
Yeah, we definitely will. We definitely will. So, and then I'll do some shout outs when we get back, and we'll see you back here in about a minute.
Boris FX Optics is the definitive digital toolbox for image editing, visual effects, and optical filter simulation. Available as a plugin for Adobe Photoshop and Lightroom, and as a standalone application. Created by Academy Award-winning effects artists, Optics brings Hollywood-quality visual effects to your images. It's easy to explore your creativity with 174 unique filters. Choose from the thousands of installed presets. And use the comprehensive layer and masking system to turn simple photos into cinematic masterpieces. Add light with lens flares, light leaks and gobos. Add style with film stocks and looks. And with Optics 2022, add realistic particle-based effects like smoke, fire, sci-fi and more. All fully customizable to create a unique image. With affordable licensing options and a free trial version, there's no reason not to see for yourself why professional photographers, artists and designers love working with Boris Effects Optics. Download it now.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by B&H Photo, the professional source since 1973.
All right, we're back and we're talking about gear here. We got people joining us all around the world. So we got, Richie Rich joining us from Western Washington. Hey, Richie Rich. And then Steven joining us from El Dorado something. And then Mohammed saying hi from the Maldives, all the way in the Maldives. That's there you go. And then Deddy saying hi from Indonesia. Matteo from Milano, Italy. Sharon from Minnesota. Jenny from Amsterdam. Roberto from Ohio. Maybe Scott Kelby from Venice. We don't know. So we'll see. But we've got a couple. We actually have one question for you before we move on. Yeah. Is you had mentioned or you maybe didn't mention it, but what model Sony do you
did.
use?
I sort of mentioned it really quickly. I use a Sony A7 III.
Yes, A7 III.
Yes, and my primary lenses are my 24-105. That is my workhorse. And I use a 90 millimeter macro.
There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you're using two lenses. This is good feedback because I'm working on a lens class and we were talking about that.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how I think people think they need to have a bunch of different lenses.
Yeah.
And the reality is when I talk to most working professionals, they have like a few, 2, 3, maybe 4 lenses that like those are their workhorses and they don't really use anything else. So.
Yeah, I used to have an 85 millimeter and that was a prime. It was fixed to my camera all the time, and then that was Nikon, and then I went to Sony, and the 90 millimeter is probably just as equivalent, as good as the 85, maybe even better because it's macro. It gets in there, really tight shots.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, speaking of macro, I don't know how that segue goes. Well, other than Karen does some great macro stuff. So speaking of macro, we have joining us on Skype, Karen Hutton. Hey, Karen, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you doing?
Oh, doing great. We're just getting ready for our gear conference and
don't I know it? Me too.
Stuff, which you know, because you're going to be teaching a class over at the gear conference, right?
Yeah, I certainly am.
What are you teaching at the conference?
So I'm doing the essential gear for epic travel and landscape photography.
Awesome.
And so I show you. I bring you into my inner sanctum and kind of like I'm going to show all my my bags and what I keep in it and what I don't keep in it and why, and it's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, and I love those classes. It's so invaluable to me because seeing what people like you do when you're at such a level above me, then I'm like, well, at least if I have that, I could possibly make a good image. So there you go.
Maybe we can all do that. I always look over everybody's shoulders going, hey, I must be able to do it better if I just do this. But it's really about making it simple, like you were just saying.
Yes,
super simple so you can focus on your vision and your idea and, the experience.
Yes, and that's what's so great about it. Like when you talk again to people and you really dig it down, is like I think you hit it on the head. As you simplify, that's actually where you really start shining. And where you because you really can just you can just focus and get that great image and not be distracted by choices and by settings and by all these other influences that come into our images. So yeah, very cool. Well, Karen, we got important
Erik.
questions here. So we got 3 questions, and the question is one question with 3 answers, and that is, what are those 3 pieces of gear? So start off just one piece. What is that one piece of gear that you just cannot live without?
Okay, I got my 3, but you want me to start with my 1?
Let's just start with the first one.
So let's start with the first one. I want to end with the one that's actually slapped on my camera all the time. But so I'm going to start from the outside and work in. So, awesome. All right, piece of gear number 1 is this crazy little backpack, which weighs next to nothing and is not a camera bag. It is a backpack. I bought it in Italy. It's a 20-liter. It weighs nothing. And I thought I would bring it because that's the bag I grab all the time. And it has a little zip pouch with a waterproof cover that goes over it. And I have for hikes, because I like to hike and I like to take my gear, and I just got so tired of schlepping camera bags everywhere that I just really needed to lighten the load, and that did it in an instant. It's like the best little bag, super flexible. And then I used which I don't have right here, those Domke square little pads that I just wrap around my cameras. Yeah. And then everything just fits in there, and I can fit other stuff and water and layers and food and whatever else I want to put in there and just be out for the day, and it's awesome.
Well, the nice part about that, Karen, too, is because you're taking a bag that's somewhat discreet like that, it does not scream camera gear.
Oh, right.
Because there's definitely one thing when you're walking around cities, when you can tell the form factor is somewhat like a camera bag, which most of them are. They look like, oh, that's a camera bag, or though that's a laptop bag. Then it's just, people tend to, those things go missing quicker. That's all, What
annoys me about camera bags? When they don't have a water, like a
water holder.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. It's so essential. Like, it's little things.
Yeah, it is little things. So.
Yeah. And this thing because I mainly use it when I'm hiking and I'm out, doing landscape, but it also has a place to put my walking sticks, and cool. It's easy to stick my tripod on there and everything. And I'm like, why wouldn't I carry this? So I'm obsessed with that bag because it is the simplest thing. All right, you want part number 2?
Yeah. So
sorry.
2. So what's 2? So we got a
2
bag,
is my
cool.
Okay,
bag.
So my filter set. So everybody, this is for landscape. So for my filters, a lot of people use I don't know why. A lot of people don't know about LaCroix. Now the reason I love LaCroix, people laugh at me sometimes because this thing is a little piece of plastic. They go, oh, it's so flimsy, it's so cheesy. I'm like, it weighs nothing. I can take it everywhere. It snaps on, because I hate fussing around with gear and little screws and, everything's just got to be so me. This thing, I screw it on, I snap it on, I slide it in, away I go. And I can do it with gloves on in the winter. It works the same no matter the weather. I'm obsessed with my filter set, which is LaCroix, and I love it.
Right. And so for you, again, and this is, picking up on, commonalities here, what you're talking about there is that filter set, because I've had others like that where it's confusing. It's hard to, like you just said, a good example. You're out in the winter and you're shooting. You usually have gloves on. It's hard to work with. So really your choice in that is not only because, they have the filters, but it's the ease of use of the filter. Because if the filter wasn't easy to use, what I've noticed, and I don't know how you've noticed, I've noticed in my line of work, if the filter is hard to use, I don't want to use it. It discourages me, right?
Yeah.
So.
And this is so easy. It encourages me, and I have a nice wide variety. And I carry it in a little bag that's super easy. I just whip them out. They're just all right in there.
Awesome.
And
I love how it's color coded too.
So neat.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, I like that.
I like my little setup.
It's the little things in life.
Yeah.
It's all about the little things, and it's all about it being fun and easy and accessible and encouraging. Makes you want to create with it. So.
Yes, absolutely. Well, what's your last thing then?
My last one? Okay, my last one, which will tie into macro. I'll show you how this works. This is why I'm doing this last. Okay, I'm obsessed with my L plate. Have been for years. All right, so my L plate. Are we doing brands? I didn't even ask you that.
No, we definitely could. I mean, everybody's going to want to know what brand.
Oh, I know. Yes, that's why I always say it. So it's really right stuff. And the reason I love it, see, this is my it works on all my, I have one for each one of my cameras. But here's what I love about this. 2 things. One, this is how I use it. I pull it out and use this as a handle for when I don't want to put it on a camera strap, when I want to hand hold, whatever. But when I do a camera strap, this is what I love. I don't know if any of you have ever had the experience of your camera strap, the snap coming undone and your camera falling off. I hate that. So this is a Magpul. I have it holding it the wrong way. And it simply goes in here. Boom. Oops, I pulled it right out. I didn't get it in all the way. Isn't that lovely? I love it when that happens. So once it's in there, because I didn't double check it, it's solid as a rock. I could fling this around my head if I wanted to. And it pivots. Nice. And then, I have this thing. When I have the thing on, it slides really easily. It's super not fluffy. I mean, it is. Look at that. That's a workhorse. But the thing works perfectly. I can adjust the length. And then, so it's here, and I can, on me, I can whip the camera up, or I don't even have to look down. I can just pop it off, and away I go. So it's the multi-use. It's how solid this thing is because it never comes unscrewed. It also has a, the Allen wrench is attached. So if I do want to make an adjustment, or I want to pull in the handle, make it, flush. We get it all straight here. Get it flush with the side. It's super easy to do. And this whole thing is just so interchangeable and all works together. And again, obsessed.
There you go.
I like how quickly she snapped that.
That is great. How you don't have to screw it in. It's just snapping in.
Boom.
Yeah.
It's just you had that moment up front where it was like Elon Musk with the Cybertruck where you smashed the window.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times, how you get your eye on something and you don't want to look down because you're like, oh, there it is. I can just reach down, pop this thing off, and pull the camera up, and I never have to look down.
Oh, absolutely. And, that definitely, I mean, I use very similar things, not the same as you, but very similar things. I am obsessed with my L brackets too. I use them in the same way where I always have them so I could it's like a good grip, just like you're using it. Love that. And can't speak. I love having the camera attached to me where I could just quickly pull it up, but then quickly detach it and put it on my tripod.
For sure.
Absolutely. So where it goes full circle with the macro is I just happen to have my macro lens on this is a Fujifilm GFX. And I just did a film and that was all about photographing Zion with a macro lens.
Well, boom, there you go.
Like first time visit with nothing but a macro lens. So
interesting.
I love those.
There you go.
I can't wait to see that. I love Zion. So I can't wait to see that take on Zion.
I'll send you the link.
Yeah, definitely. So we got a couple questions here coming in.
Yes.
So one, you talked about a padding that you're using to pad your camera. Do you know the actual name of that padding?
Yeah. It's just right over there on the shelf.
For it.
I'll have to pop these off and I can pop them right back.
We'll come up with something.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am admiring her set, like that backdrop. And her lighting.
Yeah.
Like I'm geeking out on the how beautifully lit she looks, and that set.
It's like she knows about this photography stuff.
Wait a minute, this is backwards. This is so much fun.
I want to borrow that.
You gotta love live.
Borrow that backdrop.
There you go.
All right, we're back.
That's one of my photographs.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's fabric. It's a I'm going blank on the name, but it's fabric. It's printed. It's one of my photographs. It's stretchy. It's this phenomenal. It's on this frame that I can break down in 10 seconds.
Yeah, I love how it's your photograph.
Yeah,
that's
right.
so cool.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Okay, so this is I'll tell you, I'll send in if you want to put it in the notes. I'll look up the brand of this because it really is handy for different things. So this is what I'm talking about. Although I will say at the bottom of this, the only place I wanted a little extra padding was in the bottom. So I have a little thing like this at the bottom of that pack. Okay. This is padded, but that only goes a little ways up. So I wrap anything I'm worried about in this, which is made by Domke. I don't know if you can see that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's Velcro, so basically you put your gear on the Velcro side and then, you just, however, anyway, it goes like this. And so you Velcro it. So it's just, padded.
Yeah, you're just like wrapping up your camera on a little.
Yeah, and it just goes fling when you're ready and away you go.
It's like every time it's like you're unwrapping a gift. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to take photos.
Yeah, because I like gifts. I like, I want my gear to feel like a gift. So, yeah.
And this is the kind of stuff that this is why I'm going to love the gear conference, is right there, that kind of stuff where, being able to see that and go, wow, I could use that sometime, because there's totally times when I could use that for gear.
I've never seen that before.
To like wrap it up and like do that. And I'm like, oh
yeah.
Now, how much do those run?
Oh, they're not very. Oh boy, I don't have the price right in front of me, but they're not very expensive. They come in I think 3 different sizes. I have them all. Oh, there you go.
$17.
Oh. So that's that's a bigger one. So that's like a 15th. Yeah. So 11, 15, and 19 inches. I have them all. They're phenomenal. Yep. They're just phenomenal.
I learned something new.
Yep. There you go.
The other cool trick, which I won't tell you here, but I'm going to show in my class, is my very super fancy weather protection for my camera that I use when it's, snowing and raining. It's very fancy, very expensive.
Oh, I can't wait. So one more question, though. We have one. Or I think we have one more, or maybe 2. I don't know. So yes, who makes the strap that you're talking about? The strap.
Oh, that's called Magpul.
Magpul.
I'm not sure, honestly. I got it all together, right? I bought Magpul at the same time. Let's see which way. Oh, here we go. Along with the L plate, because I knew they worked together as a unit. So I've never gone to their website to see what else they have. This is just so genius for me that, I borrowed it from a friend, actually, I'll be honest. I kept it.
Awesome. That's awesome. All right.
I paid him back.
Well, Karen, we really appreciate you joining in. We got to run to the next break, but
run, as long as you run.
Yeah, we got to run, but the network's calling. But we enjoyed having you on the show, and we can't wait to see you in just a couple weeks for the gear conference. I'm so
excited. I'm really excited about that. So thanks for having me on. You guys have a fabulous rest of your day.
Nice meeting you.
All right.
Ditto. Have a great one.
And then we'll see you guys back here in just about 60 seconds here on the grid.
Hello everyone, this is Remy. I'm here in the beautiful Arizona, a location that I've never been to before. It's my first time, and we're filming a class for you about landscape photography. It's going to be a complete guide from start to finish. And this is going to include everything from pre-scouting a location, because I personally have never been to this location before, and it's going to be my first time. How to get there, when to get there. We're going to actually talk about the gear and how to take the photograph itself, looking for the best composition, how to pre-scout the actual photo shoot location for the best possible composition, and then coming back in the right light to shoot it. And we're gonna then take it to the Lightroom and Photoshop and actually work on it further. So this class is a complete guide to taking landscape photographs. So I want you to come and join me on my latest class on kelby1.com.
Hey everyone, Rick Salmon here. I really hope you can join me for my latest Kelby 1 class, Uncovering the Magic of the Golden Hours. Get your best pictures in the best light of the day. Now in this class I will of course cover photographing during the golden hours, which are basically the hours more or less after sunrise and before sunset. However, this class goes way beyond just photographing during those times. I'll also cover photographing during the blue hours, which are basically the hours before sunrise and after sunset. But there's more. I'll also share with you my top tips for photographing at sunrise and at sunset, which actually can be kind of tricky when shooting into the sun due to the high contrast range in the scene. And I'll cover image processing, which can save the day when you can't get it right in camera, plus it's a ton of fun. So my friends, I really hope you can join me for my latest class, Uncovering the Magic of the Golden Hours, only on kelby1.com.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Canon.
All right, we're back. And how awesome was that? I mean, I love Karen. I love her
That was
energy.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to her class. I mean, I really, I'd love to see, I'm honest, like, I'd love to see, like, how she approaches it, because I think that she has some keys for people when it comes to especially landscape and travel photography for simplifying it.
And I love that she printed her own backdrop.
Yeah,
on that cloth
awesome.
material.
Yeah.
And she can sell that. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome. So we have a couple people joining us in the chat. We got a couple people talking about things they can't live without. One that we both, when we were on the break, we were reading, we were like, oh yeah, is gaff tape.
Yeah.
So Lewis said gaff tape is critical, and absolutely.
How did I not think of that?
How did you not think of that one? And then Dwight saying a remote shutter. So and you talked about that.
Yep.
And then we have, let's see, is this Nina saying that polarizer, neutral density filter, and a tripod. So those are all great things as well.
Tripod.
Tripod key, but yeah, definitely polarizer, neutral density filter to do stuff with your lens. I find I use a neutral density filter the most of all those things. And then John's saying, can't live without my Platypod. Absolutely. Lytra Pro. I love that. And of course, my 10 memory cards. Yes. That's actually
vital.
like one of my things, honestly, if I'm being honest, like when I thought about like essential piece of gear to me is my batteries and my memory cards.
I mean, you can't really shoot without them.
But it's very important to not only that have your battery cards or your batteries conditioned, maintained.
Yes.
Make sure that they're holding charges. I have to worry about that a lot of times because I'm leaving stuff out for hours, days at a time, waiting to wake up if it's not holding a charge well. So conditioning batteries, charging batteries, and then making sure your memory cards can actually handle what you're throwing at it.
Exactly. Like video. You have to have the right memory cards to handle video.
So that's like essential to me. And there's one question here, maybe you can answer, is Christina's I have an upcoming wedding for a friend. I am a family photographer and love landscapes, but I've never done a wedding. I have a Sony A7 III, so they have, similar to what you got, and then with the 17 to 28 millimeter, the 50, the 28 to 70. What lens would be best for weddings that's not astronomical?
Out of those three?
I guess. Well, maybe that's a good answer. Would you say just use one of those?
Yeah, I would say definitely the 50.
Yep, definitely the 50.
And definitely the 17 to 28 for those wide group shots. And sometimes you're in small confined spaces and you want to really make sure to get what you need. Although 17 to 28 is kind of small, you do have a bigger range with the 28 to 70, but you also have the 50. So I would if I have to choose just one.
Yeah.
Oh, tough. I would choose the 50.
Right.
But
and if for me, I would have gone if I had to choose one of those, it'd be the 28 to 70, just because it gave you kind of those portrait, and then you could get a little bit wide, with the 28. Now, I would think, and this is just if she's asking what lens would be best for weddings that's not astronomical, this is where I think a 24 to 105 comes into play.
Well, that was going to be my suggestion. Out of the choices that she gave us, I suggested the 50 because it's a prime and you can open wide up.
Yep.
However, if I had to say, hey, maybe you can rent a lens.
Yes.
24 to 105 is on the spot.
Correct.
It's so wide.
I 100% agree. And that would be my advice too, is like go rent a 24 to 105 for the wedding, because that's going to allow you to do the wide stuff that you're talking about, allow you to do those portraits, lets you do the group shots, lets you do the interior, like the detail stuff, the closer stuff.
And the Sony is tacked sharp.
Yeah, so if you're looking for one, there you go, the 24 to 105. All right, and then now, joining us again, we got another guest joining us in the studio here. We've got Gabe joining us. Gabe, you there? Oh, I can't hear you. I could hear you.
Can we hear me?
There you are.
I can hear you.
I'm back now. I'm in Brooklyn. So
hey,
Go Brooklyn.
Go Brooklyn.
All right, greetings from Brooklyn. How we doing today?
Greetings.
All right. We're doing good. We're doing good. We're so glad you could join us and talk about gear, because I know you happen to love gear. I just happen. I have this feeling.
There's some issues here, and right when you say limited to 3 things, did you miss a 0 there? Can we add another 1 or 2 more zeros?
Because, that's okay. And Gabe, I can give you a couple more zeros if you need them. However, we really want to keep this down to those essential pieces. Obviously, we know with cameras, lenses, we all know. Yes, that's. Yep. But really looking like Gabe, and first, actually, before you start out, the one thing, you are at the gear conference as well, and you're teaching a class as well, right?
I am. I'm teaching it. Keep it steady, tripod support and stabilization. So as you can see from my table here, these are kind of things that are essential to my style of photography. I do night photography. Mostly that makes up about 85% of my work. And then I would say of the 15% of my daytime work, 10% I'm probably have an ND filter on my filter. So I'm doing long exposures during the day. So yeah, camera, lenses, obviously those are obvious choices, but a tripod, right? A tripod is incredibly essential. I couldn't live without it. In fact, as you can see, I've got multiple ones here. So that helps keep my cameras and my images rock solid, stable, as well as secure for doing a lot of that astrophotography, or again, those long exposures. So whether you have a tripod that comes with a head like this one. This is the very sort of broke the trend of tripods, the Peak design, which is super compact. This, everyone's like, oh, well, tripods are great, but they're too heavy, they're too bulky. I don't want to bring them around, right? So it's like people have that love-hate relationship. This is the one tripod that will make you kind of, inspire you to bring it out, because it's so light, so compact. You can fit it in a tote bag, a bag, a regular bag, what have you. And really, really easy, simple to use, and kind of will inspire you to use it outside of maybe, within your everyday use. But we also have some other, tabletop, or, the platypod's a good option. I think you mentioned that. Or travel tripods. Those usually have the 180-degree legs that, compact down. So those kind of can fit under 20 inches. And then full-size tripods, those aren't as packable. Those are usually 25 to 25 inches. So you got to figure out, maybe that's a studio tripod, or, but those usually get to the full size. But I love having a tripod. It is essential to what I do for the work. So that's the, the essential gear number 1. Going with that, if your tripod doesn't come with a head with it, which oftentimes when it does come with a head, it's a basic head. It's sort of a kit head, like we have our kit lenses, right? They'll do the job, but it's sort of a generic head that is suitable for all purposes. But maybe you need a video head. Maybe you need one that's got a fluid, smooth, head with it. Maybe you're doing panoramas, so you need a panorama head. If you're really being more precise, you need a 3-way head or a geared head. I love the ball heads. These are super compact, and you can usually do do a lot for that night photographer, especially. This is my favorite. This is the Acrotech head, which they make a series of G series. So Gabriel G, I love that. But this is their GP head, which is for full size tripod. They make a GP SS that has a smaller diameter that'll fit travel tripods when you swing them around. But what's cool about this, all of them weigh under a pound, and they'll all hold 25 pounds. So that's great. They have this sort of open design, and then you can get them with or without the lever lock. And this is something that I've only seen lever locks in the really high end, like the Really Right Stuff, Acrotech ball heads. And this is essential, because most of the time this device is usually a knob, and this is how you lock down your camera to your tripod. And at night, these knobs feel the same as your friction and your adjusting knobs. So you could accidentally, mistake one knob for the other. So I love it when you have the option for these lever locks, because you can see these are secure. You have to actually push it in to release it. So the Acrotech, this is definitely another one of my desert island pieces of gear.
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah, you've hit on two of them that are essential to me as well. Like definitely the tripod and the ball head, definitely essential. I can speak from experience that I agree with you that the locking mechanism rather than the twist, especially at night, is definitely preferred. It's helped me out many of times.
I have seen many people's cameras take a plunge mistakenly, so having that locking mechanism, that'll save you a few $1,000s, right?
Yep. Oh yeah, definitely.
And having a really stable tripod, it makes a very, very big difference, because not only does it protect your gear, but like the tripod itself, you want it to last. If you're going to invest in something, you definitely want it to last. I've had tripods where I maybe spent $150, under $200, and the legs are so flimsy. The minute you put, you can't put much weight on them because the legs shake, they kind of give out. Also, just putting them away is kind of a hassle. A little bit. So having a really good stable tripod, invest in a good tripod.
Oh yeah,
take the plunge,
and it will definitely pay off in the end. I mean, I have the same tripod I've had for like over 15 years, but I mean, it's but it's rock solid. It's really right stuff, it just works, it's just rock solid. And now there's great options out there nowadays as well. Like Gabe showed, I actually used that Peak Design one for 2.5, almost 3 weeks last year, or a couple years ago when it came out, and tested it. And I mean, it's not for me. I didn't find it for me, but it's a great thing for what Gabe described. If you're a person that's like, hey, I really don't like carrying around a tripod, but I know I should, and I'm just looking for something that I can have that has the minimum amount of weight and decisions. It's like everything's in one compact, thing. It even has a holder for your phone that comes with it that comes out.
Fancy.
So there's all these little things that it's like, that's the one thing. But again, it just didn't work for me in that I wanted something more stable or sturdy. But that's just given my style or what I do. Gabe knows, when you're exposing for 30 seconds, you're exposing for 6 minutes or something like that with a star tracker, it's very important that you don't want that camera moving.
You need stability, for sure.
Yeah, very important. So Gabe, what's your last thing?
So you got to connect, right? You got to connect your gear to the tripod and the head. And yes, you could use quick releases, which all those heads come with it, but an upgraded choice, as you can kind of see here with this camera, is the L bracket, right? And here's one that I have as well, so you can see what it looks like on its own. Now you can get L brackets to custom fit, and they'll fit pretty much around the lip of the base of your camera. So you can get them, and I definitely recommend Really Right Stuff has got some great ones. Kirk also makes some great L brackets. But what's cool about this is the ultimate in security in connecting your camera to your tripod and your head. Quick releases, they go loose very quickly. And when you lock down an L bracket, it's locked down. It's locked down for at least a year. Always good to test anything that locks down. But when this is locked down and so secure. And what's great is when you level, we take time out in the field to level our tripod and make sure that we've got everything and everything's adjusted. And say we are shooting in that horizontal landscape mode, but then we're like, I want to include more sky. I want to include more of that foreground. You might want to flip to the vertical mode. And that's the whole reason for an L bracket is now, without making any adjustments to our tripod, we can just unhook it and flip between horizontal and vertical with ease. And there is the Arca Swiss connection, which is, for professional tripods, that is the connection of choice. So 90% of the tripods out there have that connection. So all L brackets are Arca Swiss, and an easy way to get in between the horizontal and vertical. So yes, as soon as I get a new camera, I look for that L bracket that's made for it. I've also used universal L brackets. They work pretty good as well, but ideally get one that matches your camera.
Absolutely. And I do the same. I mean, just a new camera. It's immediately the first purchase was an L bracket. That's just what it is.
Extra battery, memory cards,
Yep.
L bracket.
Yep. Batteries, memory cards, L bracket. That's what I did.
L brackets are winning today.
Yep. So
Karen
there you go.
suggested it too. Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah, no, L bracket is great. The other thing it's great for is, like Gabe talked, it's easy to switch between there, but you're keeping that center of gravity over the center of your tripod head. You know, where a lot of times to shoot vertical, you're going to have to take your tripod head over to the side and that little slit, and it's going to be hanging off to one side. You're just moving that weight a little bit.
Even with a ball.
You take some stability out when you don't do that. So definitely L bracket is that's like an essential piece of gear.
Totally essential. And, you know, I heard that gaff tape, you know, and I want to say a tripod can be a great way to bring with, like here we have, I always have gaff tape wrapped around the tripod. So, some of these other essential things that people have been talking about in the chat or, you know, in the talk, we can kind of connect and carry with and
I do the same thing you're talking about there, Gabe. I wrap the leg in gaff tape. There's always gaff tape there. You always need it at the most inopportune times. So my thing is like put it with the thing that I'm always going to have, and that tends to be my tripod.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Makes sense. I learned something new.
Very cool.
I did not know that.
The other way to do it, which I have done before, is you can take because you always want like a pen, something to write on stuff with. Is you can wrap your gaff tape around the end of like the pen.
Oh, okay.
And keep gaff tape that way. So again, you just always have something with you. Well, very cool. Well, I think we have to take one more break. We're running over time, but when we come back, we'll be wrapping up the show. But Gabe, thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here. Can't wait to see you at the Gear Conference. Can't wait to see your class. I'm obsessed with tripods, so I will definitely be tuning in. But yeah, we'll see you here just in a couple weeks. Well,
sounds good, bud.
And we'll see you guys back here in about 60 seconds.
Guys, Peter Hurley here, and I'm psyched. You know why? I am doing my signature lighting in a class here at Kelby One. Do you want to miss it? You don't want to miss it. Why would you want to miss that? I've made a ton of money in my career using this exact setup, and I'm going to give it to you. So I want you to copy it. I want you to do it. I want you to get this beautiful light for yourself so that human beings can get in front of your camera and look really good. And I'm here to coach you. So let's do this. We're going to do men's lighting. We're going to go my signature triangle setup, beauty lighting for women as well. And this setup is what I've made my living around in my entire career. It's made me uber successful. It can help you. It can help you make better pictures of human beings that are fortunate enough to step foot in front of your lens. And I'm psyched to see it. So let's go. You ready? Come watch my latest class at kelby1.com. 3, 2, 1. Shabam.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Platypod, the world's most compact tripod base.
All right, we're back, and we're talking about gear, and we've gone through a bunch of different things today, I think all over the place. Now, I already had 2 of mine stolen by Gabe. Gabe stole the tripod one, because that is an essential piece of gear for me. And then the L bracket, well, I should say Karen also, because both, so L bracket. The other piece of gear, which this is a weird one, because I was thinking about it, like, this is actually my essential piece of gear, which it's not a piece of gear per se, but it's something, it is on my phone. So it's my gear being my phone, but photo pills, and having this app called Photo Pills, where I can basically see where the sun, where the moon, where the stars, where the Milky Way are going to align with anything when it comes to like a landscape, or even again, landscape, Milky Way shots, anything that I do like that. It's basically the start of everything. And it's amazing nowadays to have that power to where I can plan shots without even leaving my home. Like, I can know, crazy. Like, hey, like I went on a trip a little while ago. It's like, here's the lighthouse. Here's where the Milky Way is going to go. And it's like, I wasn't even there. Show up. And because of the app, you know exactly where to put your tripod, exactly where to. And now, again, there's some composition once you get out.
Right.
But the ability to be able to pre-visualize this stuff before you even leave and plan the exact shot that you're kind of going for, and then just tweaking it a little bit when you get on location.
Yeah.
For $10, like, that's invaluable.
Technology blows me away.
It is.
Like, it is crazy.
Yep. Yeah, it's amazing. So.
Yeah, I can see how a tool like that would be very useful to the type of work that you do.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah. If you're into like planning that, well, even you know, say you were doing portrait work and you were like wondering, hey, where's the epic sunset background going to be, or where's the sun going to intersect with this building, and then I could put a portrait in front of it, or where's the moon going to be where I could light somebody and the moon's still in my scene. So there's all these things that even portrait photographers could do with it, where you're just like saying, hey, I want to see where this light's going to come from, or where this object's going to be in the sky, in relation to where I'm going to be shooting. Well, that starts opening up different worlds even for portrait photographers.
Does. I can see that for natural light photographers.
Oh, especially natural light.
Right. So is that a one-time?
One-time, yeah.
Fee?
One time.
$10, not a subscription?
Not a subscription.
Oh, nice, because I'm so over these subscriptions.
I hear you. I hear you. I mean, there's a lot. I get it.
That's cool.
Well, and speaking of subscriptions, though, John Dukes is saying my Kelby One membership is essential gear. So there you go.
Nice.
It's definitely a piece of essential gear. And, you know, not shameless plug, but it is, you know, that's what we do.
This subscription is well worth
we
it.
do
1,000%
training, and we love to, you know, educate and train people on it. And that's where that is an essential piece of gear as well.
Well, yeah. And also, I'm not just saying that. Like, I was and still am a Kelby One member. I learned a lot of my photography right here on Kelby One, and look at me now.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I mean, I learned a lot of that stuff, you know, from people, you know, and you just get exposed to different ideas, and then that grows, and then it grows into your own ideas.
Yeah.
So it's great to have that resource. That's something that we were just talking about earlier. I was talking about somebody else, how, you know, photography almost seems sometimes like back in the day, it was like magicians, where it was like everybody kept secrets to themselves, and they didn't.
Boys Club.
And it's like nowadays, it's more like we're set up to where we just want to tell you the straight shot of this is how to do it, not overcomplicating it, and then talking to you just like you're a friend. Like, there's no secrets. There's, you know, like, if you want to know my settings, you want to know anything, I'll tell them to you.
Right.
Now, sometimes you could pull the Rick Salmon and, you know, say, it depends, because I can tell you my settings all day long, but it depends on you being in those situations to get the shot. But the truth is, we're going to tell you what you need to get that shot, or what we took to get that shot, and not hide anything. And that's a big thing in photography.
Yes, back in the day, it used to be generally mostly a male-driven industry, and I remember it was very difficult for even a woman to, you know, learn, you know, even just trying to apply and be an assistant was difficult as well. Much less, learning. The way you learned was on set.
Yes, that's what a lot of it was.
So it's really nice to have this community that's so welcoming and contributing to others and their learning journey, their learning careers and paths.
Well, we love it. We're definitely, we're passionate about it. We love to, that's why we do this show as well, just to help photographers out, help people out with making better photos. That's our goal. So, and speaking of that, we want to give people great prizes as well. And we have got a bunch of prizes we're giving away on the show. We're going to be giving away, let's see, we got Scott's Lightroom Classic book that we're going to be giving away to James Huff. And then we have Randall L. Shepard winning Scott's travel photography book.
Randall.
So there you go, Randall. And then Dean Rush winning the Platypod disc.
Yay,
so
Dean.
we're going to be sending that out to you. And then Ray David winning the On One Effects. And then David Young winning the Boris Effects Optics 2022. So if you just email us over there at gridprize@kelby1.com, we'll verify your information and then send you out your prize. And then we have a couple questions to wrap up the show. Let's see here. If Jay's asking if you'd recommend a gimbal head, which one would you recommend? I don't know. I don't even think you use a gimbal head.
I don't.
I'll tell you. I have used the gimbal head. I've never used really that expensive of one. But that's just me in my photography. I think honestly, when you're talking about what would you recommend a gimbal head, I wish I still had Gabe on the line, because Gabe would be able to say, but I will say that Gabe will go over that in his tripod talk, because I know that's one thing that Gabe's passionate about. I've just used simple gimbal heads, and stuff like that, but they all work about the same. Tends to be with gear, how much are you going to use it is really where I'd say like what to recommend for somebody, because if you're not going to use that gimbal head that much, and then kind of really sometimes looking at why you need that gimbal head.
Why you need it. Yes.
Like, why are you needing that gimbal head? Is it because you've got a very heavy lens and you maybe should go, like, do you have a 400 millimeter and you maybe need to go to the 100 to 500 millimeter Canon because it's too heavy, and I need to, because you could still get great shots out of the other one, just got to boost your ISO a little bit more. But again, looking at like, why do you need that?
Yeah.
And then another question, how do you condition your batteries? If you're using like on Canon, if you're using like the more flagship like 1DX line, they're gonna have on their battery chargers a conditioning button. And what that does is it drains the battery and then refills the battery to make sure that you're constantly getting that battery to kind of like cycle through the full charge. And the same thing, now that doesn't happen for the other batteries that Canon sells, and Nikon's the same with this, Sony as well. You just want to make sure that you're not leaving a battery, when I say conditioned, that you're draining batteries and using batteries and not just leaving them on a charger or leaving them to not have a charge. Because you don't want to leave your batteries for a long time just sitting there, or a long time sitting there just charging. You see what I'm saying there?
Yeah, and also little things. Simple but true. Take them out of your camera. Like, don't leave them in your camera. Take them out. Even when you're not charging them, don't pop them back in. Maybe just leave them out. And also batteries. Batteries for strobe, I have the Westcott FJ400. So if you leave the battery on the strobe, even if the strobe is off, it will still drain the battery. Yeah. And then you will not even be able to charge it.
Yep.
So...
Yeah, and that's where you do have to be concerned about the condition, and that's a condition of your batteries, that they're constantly being charged, or constantly being charged and uncharged, and not just left to charge or left to drain to zero and not have any charge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's when we're talking about that. So there you go. So I don't think we have any other questions here, but thanks for joining us. So if they want to know more about you, where can they go and find out more about you?
You can find me under Mary Bell Photography. That's Mary with a Y, Bell, B-E-L, Photography, under Instagram, Facebook. I have a TikTok as well, where I give tips and tricks on, photography related subjects as well. So, yep, all over. Mary Bell Photography.
There you go. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, and thanks for all of our guests that came on as well. And we all hope we see you at the Gear Conference here in a couple weeks, because we're really excited about that one.
Yeah.
And we hope to see you also next week when Scott will be back, hopefully with some travel photography pictures. I know they'll be awesome, so I can't wait to see.
He'll have some stories.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have some stories. Let's hope Jason avoided some cactus.
Oh, yeah.
All right, see you guys next week here on The Grid.